Joining us live now, the Flight Centre Chief Executive, Graham Turner. Graham, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. So what did you think of Mr Joyce's explanations yesterday?
Oh, look, he's got a tough thing to do. I mean, I certainly don't think it's his fault. For example, with Qatar and the refunds and that, we've all been having problems with that sort of thing. Because a lot of these refunds date back some years and that. But in the end, these are government decisions, and I think I guess he's getting the blame for this. Even though if I was the CEO of Qantas, I'd certainly be working for the best outcome for the economics of Qantas and their people and customers. So, he's I don't envy him at all, the grilling he got from what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, but back on Qatar, I mean, the extra flights to Australia, are you for that or are you against it?
No, look, I'm dead for it. We just don't have enough capacity coming into and going out of Australia, and this is affecting our local tourism industry. It's affecting people who are trying to fly to visit relatives, whether a lot of lower income people visiting relatives.
Yeah.
And as you know, it is very expensive at the moment, and we've got about 85% of our pre-COVID capacity back, but the demand is obviously grossly exceeding that because people haven't been able to travel for a couple of years, and there's naturally about 4% growth a year in demand anyway,
Yeah, so when the Assistant Treasurer steps up and basically says, that we made that decision to help keep Qantas profitable, we've had a strong reaction to that this morning, saying that's just not the government's role. I mean, what's your view of a comment like that?
Look, it's obviously not the reason. We've heard about 5 or 6 reasons now. And in the travel industry generally, from the people I talk to who have some views, had some ideas on this, it's generally felt that Catherine King was overruled, or her department was overruled from higher up in the Labor government. And it is generally suggested that it was probably the PM. And it'd be interesting to hear from both Catherine King and the PM whether that's how it happened or it didn't happen like that. But certainly in the industry, we'd like to hear about that.
Is it in retaliation? I mean, this is one of the reasons that's been provided for human rights abuses that were committed by those in Qatar with respect to Australian passengers.
Look, that happened a couple of years ago, I think nearly 3 years ago, and it was a terrible thing for those women involved, but it wasn't Qatar, the airline. It was the local Qatari police that did that, and blaming an airline for that is a fairly long bow. So I think, there's certainly, they have a case that sort of thing should not happen.
Yeah.
But blaming the airline is pretty tough, 3 years ahead.
This all sounds like a mess, Graham.
Yeah, look, I think this is going to come to bite the government badly here because they just haven't had a good explanation, not only of why they made the decision, but who made the decision and who told the Transport Minister and her department what the decision should be, because I think that's really the important part of it. And we'd certainly in the industry, we need this capacity. We'd like to hear if there is a good reason, what is the reason, or who actually made the decision, and was it a captain's call or not?
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, what does it do for transparency?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can understand the government has the right to make these decisions, but they should at least be able to offer some plausible explanation.
We do need Qantas to be healthy, and you need the national carrier to be healthy. I mean, no one's disputing that. But in the words of Alan Joyce yesterday, and I'll ask you this question, do you think at the moment competition is fair and balanced? Look,
you've got to remember the government shut our industry down, and not only in Australia, but the state governments and the Australian government shut us down for more than 2 years, basically. So coming out of that's pretty tough. But I think, and so I have some sympathy for airlines like Qantas and Virgin, but that doesn't make sense with the Qatari issue. We need more capacity. They flew right through the pandemic, bringing in a lot of freight and passengers. bringing a lot of Australians home in scheduled flights, where a lot of other carriers didn't. So, I think at least we deserve an explanation, and the fares are too expensive at the moment.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, could Qatar just fly to another city though instead of Sydney?
Well, they do fly now. Obviously Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne. That's where they were looking for the extra flights. So there's not, there was suggestion they could fly A380s and that would increase their capacity. But A380s, you just can't pluck A380s out of the desert and start flying them. They've still got a lot of issues with crew and other maintenance areas. So the extra flights, they're ready to do it. And there are some extra flights coming in, for example, to Singapore, but not till April next year, and that's too far ahead.
Okay. That's the Flight Centre Chief, Graham Turner. Graham, always good to have you with us. Thank you. We'll talk to you again soon.